half-devil, hunter, betrayed. Tasked with hunting his own kind, he must navigate a world of deadly secrets, dangerous alliances, and a mysterious red-haired woman whose intentions could destroy him. Every choice could spark war, and every heartbeat could be his last. Chapter 1. Ray's POV. Ugh. I groaned in frustration as my thick, curly hair refused, again, to stay in a sleek bun. I knew I should have prepared it last night, but laziness and zero motivation had teamed up against me. Almost there. Come on. Today was my first day as a devil hunter. I never imagined the day would come when I'd be hired to hunt down my own kind. Yes, my own kind. I'm a devil. Well, a half. My human father had a one-night encounter with my devil mother 19 years ago. And just like that, the universe gifted them with me. My mother spent most of my childhood dragging us all over the country looking for him. At first, I was excited to meet my father. But years passed, and reality hit. It was a waste of time. He probably didn't even remember her name. I felt bad for Mom. She loved him so deeply that she couldn't let go. I wish I could have stopped her from chasing a man who never looked back. Why am I thinking about this now? I shook my head. This was not the moment for emotional flashbacks. Ouch! The rubber band snapped in my hand. Great! I sighed, staring at my reflection. Perfect way to start the day. I took a deep breath and gave up. I let my curls fall naturally, dry as the Sahara or not, and splashed some water on them before stepping out of the HQ women's restroom. Wonderful! I'm a whole 30 minutes late. Humans, other devil hunters, hurried across the hallway in matching uniforms, some carrying weapons. I walked past them and entered the elevator, choosing the top floor. As it ascended, I pulled out the crumpled paper in my pocket. Go to Makima's office and hand her this paper. She'll know. Oh, come on. I shoved the note back. I hate being told what to do, especially after everything that happened with Mom. Ding. The elevator doors opened. After a few minutes of searching, I found a tall mahogany door labeled Makima. Something felt strange. I could almost hear my mother warning me to run. But something else pulled me forward. I pushed the door open. Neat, I muttered while taking in the pristine, spacious office. I sat in her chair and spun lazily until I got bored. Then I rested my head on the desk, waiting. I waited, and waited, until... Can I help you? I snapped my head to the side. A raven-haired, blue-eyed man stood there, a sword strapped to his back, staring at me with a mix of confusion and irritation. Oh, I'm just waiting for someone. I'm good. Mom always told me to stay away from human men. Funny, considering her life story. The man suddenly grabbed my wrist, startling me. What do you think you're doing sitting in Miss Makima's chair? Seriously? At 8 in the morning? I yanked my hand back. I need to see this Miss Makima of yours, so if you'd excuse me. Why? I raised a brow. Because I was told to. By whom? By your mom. He gave me the most unimpressed look I had ever seen. Look, I sighed. I'm already in a terrible mood. Can we not do this? He opened his mouth to retort, but before he could, his expression shifted to horror. What's wrong? Third POV. With swift precision, the man grabbed Ray's arms and pinned her against the desk. What are you doing? Ray twisted, flipping him onto the floor instead, ending up on top of him. Wow, she said with a teasing smirk. You're this intense in the morning? Before she could blink, he kicked her off and pressed his sword to her throat. Stand down, devil. Ray froze. So, she wasn't welcome here after all. How did you know? She asked quietly. I made sure my aura was hidden. Who are you? You clearly don't know who you're dealing with, he replied. I'm Aki. And before I deal with you, what's going on here? Both turned toward the doorway. Ray's POV. I looked up, and my breath caught. Makima. She stepped into the room with calm authority, her eyes sharp yet mesmerizing. Miss Makima. I was just eliminating this devil. Who are you calling devil, you overdramatic human? I swatted the sword away. I said stand down. Aki snapped. But Makima said softly, Rei, my dear. The way she said my name sent chills down my spine. She walked up to me and gently held my face in her hands. Aki began, Miss, be careful. She silenced him with a simple gesture. Effortlessly. Gracefully. And, wow. That was unbelievably impressive. I've been looking everywhere for you, she murmured, her gaze scanning my face. I thought you changed your mind. Oh. I'm sorry, ma'am. Makima, she corrected with a smile. Just Makima. Please have a seat. She shot Aki a single cold look. He instantly left. Makima settled into her chair, sipping her tea. Vanilla bourbon tea from Madagascar. An ex-boyfriend brought it back from his travels. Would you like some? Sure. I love vanilla. I don't, but with those eyes? Who could say no? She moved gracefully toward a tea cart. So, Rei, she said, placing a tea bag into a cup. You know why you're here, yes? Good. And you understand I'm doing you a huge favor. A favor? I scoffed. Forcing me to work in a place like this is a favor? She stirred her tea with a golden spoon, smiling faintly. Oh, Rei. If I hadn't arranged this job, you wouldn't be alive right now. You would have received the usual treatment devils get. Unless someone important intervened. What do you mean? I frowned. I mean you should be thanking me. I saved your life. I stood up, stunned. Never had a human spoken to me like that. I may be half devil, I said, voice shaking with anger. But why should I be grateful? Humans took the only person I ever loved away from me. My chest tightened. Anger, fear, loneliness. Everything I had buried was pushing upward. I'd rather take my chances out there than stay here. I'm done. I walked toward the door. If I died, at least I would go out with dignity. No. The word echoed softly behind me. I froze. Makima's voice was inches from my ear. I didn't dare turn around. Her presence alone felt like a hand closing gently, but firmly, around my fate. Chapter 2. Third POV. Rei turned over for what felt like the 100th time, trying to find a comfortable position on her bed. But no matter how tightly she closed her eyes, she couldn't stop thinking about the red-haired woman she'd met just hours earlier. At first, Makima's golden eyes and calm, commanding presence had captivated Rei completely. She was instantly drawn to her. But once Makima revealed her true nature, that attraction twisted into something complicated. Half resentment, half something Rei didn't want to name. Flashback. Rei reached for the office doorknob, ready to leave, when Makima gently placed a hand over hers and leaned close to her ear. Do you want to die, my dear? Her voice was soft, so soft that the words didn't register as a threat until a chill ran down Rei's spine. Before Rei could respond, Makima flipped her around with startling precision, pinning her wrists against the door. Rei's back pressed against the polished mahogany wood as Makima leaned in. Her gaze held Rei's frozen one. You're not leaving, she whispered. You belong here now, Rei. And you will follow every order I give you. Rei's cheeks burned. Her emotions tangled into something messy. Anger, fear, and a strange pull she didn't understand. Makima slowly leaned closer, her lips hovering near Rei's. Rei's eyes shut on instinct. But instead of a kiss, only the cool air brushed her skin. She opened her eyes to Makima staring back at her with unreadable curiosity. End of flashback. Rei's POV. Ugh, seriously. Makima. I threw my pillow across the small apartment the agency provided. It wasn't much, but it was livable. Still, nothing in this place helped distract me from the woman who had pushed every one of my buttons today. Her threats replayed in my mind. If you try to leave, you're gone. If you harm a human, you're gone. If you betray your colleagues, you're gone. I groaned into my blanket. Who does she think she is? Acting like she owns the world. Or worse, acting like she owned me. I flopped back onto my bed, arms spread wide. My thoughts drifted to the only reason I even agreed to this new life. The tragedy that happened a month ago. A warm summer evening. My mother's voice trembling. Ray, do not trust them. Humans will use you when it benefits them, then turn their backs on you, just like they did to me. Mom, why are you saying this? What did they do? I don't have time to explain. Just promise me. Don't forget what I said. And whatever happens, don't use your ability recklessly. I still thought about those words. About the fear in her voice. About how Dad, human as he was, vanished and left us behind with nothing. I sighed. Okay. I really need to sleep now. I yawned hard enough to rival a hippo and dozed off. I woke up feeling heavier than yesterday. Last night's thoughts did not help my mood at all. Today was supposed to be a big day, my first mission, and my first time meeting the squad. Was I excited to fight devils? Yes. Was I excited to work with humans? Absolutely not. I fixed my hair into a neat bun, applied light perfume that smelled like cinnamon, and put on my uniform. Then I headed for the subway and sat near the door, still needing to conserve energy just in case. When I arrived at headquarters, I showed my ID to the guard and made my way toward Makima's office. Voices drifted from inside, so, naturally, I leaned in and eavesdropped. With all due respect, Miss Makima, Aki said, I already have 2 devils in my squad. I don't need a third. Makima's tone remained calm. Rei isn't like Power or Denji. She has control over her emotions and her abilities. I'm sure she does, Aki replied. But she's difficult. And honestly unworthy. That was it. I pushed the door open. Unworthy. Both turned toward me as I stormed in. What did you just say about me? I pointed at Aki. The nerve of you humans. He brushed my hand away. Don't touch me. And yes, I meant it. You're not fit to be in my squad. He turned to Makima. See. This is exactly the kind of unprofessional attitude I meant. I scoffed. I have an IQ of 163. If anyone here is an idiot, it's not me. Aki blinked, unimpressed. Enough, both of you, Makima said, rising gracefully from her chair. My breath caught a little. Why did she have that effect on me? Makima stepped beside us and gently took Aki's hand, then mine. Aki, she said softly, remember how much you disliked Power and Denji at first? And now you're practically inseparable. She took my hand as well. And Rei. I know you and Aki started off roughly, but you'll see his good side soon. He's far kinder than he appears. Then, before either of us could react, Makima placed our hands together, forcing us to hold hands. Her lips curled slightly as she watched us, almost too amused. I'm heading to Kyoto for business, she said. Aki, show Rei around. Please get along. And just like that, she slipped on her coat and ushered us out. Aki and I stood in the hallway, still hand in hand. What just happened? I whispered. Power, Denji, this is Rei, Aki introduced. She's joining the squad. The pink-haired girl with horns narrowed her eyes. Ugh. I thought I was supposed to be the only attractive girl here. Don't steal my spotlight. The blonde boy grinned widely. Whoa, hi. I'm Denji. Nice to meet you both, I said. The girl smirked. I'm Power, the most amazing fiend alive. I let out a small chuckle. Hard to argue with confidence that strong. Aki cleared his throat. All right, introductions over. We need to patrol. Denji groaned. Man, you always ruin the fun. Patrolling was awkward. Aki and I walked side by side, mostly in silence. So, Aki, I eventually asked, can I ask something? Are you and Makima dating? He stopped, gave me the most displeased look and said, no. And stop asking unnecessary questions. Ouch. So, she's single, I thought out loud. Do you think she likes girls? Aki walked faster. Fine. Ignore me. Silence returned, until a frantic voice cut through the street. "Please, help my son." An elderly woman grabbed my blazer, crying uncontrollably. Aki stepped forward. "Please calm down, ma'am. What happened?" We were celebrating his birthday. And he went to get soda and. She trembled so hard she couldn't finish. I gently held her shoulders. "Ma'am, we need clear details. Please take a deep breath and tell us what you saw." Aki shot me a surprised look, probably expecting me to be rude again. Finally, the woman spoke. "I saw a creature. A monster. It swallowed him and vanished. Please save my son. He's supposed to get married soon." Aki put out his cigarette. "We'll do everything we can." We headed toward the nearby bowling alley. "What was that earlier?" Aki asked. "What do you mean?" "There's a way to talk to traumatized people. You need to be patient, not harsh." I rolled my eyes. I was trying my best. He poked my forehead. "Try harder." Ouch! We entered the alley. It was eerily silent. "Search for anything unusual," Aki said. "Fine." Raise POV. I wandered toward the bar area, relieved to find a seat. "Rough morning already," I muttered. Suddenly, a bear-like creature wearing a bartender's uniform rose from behind the counter. "Good evening, madam. What may I prepare for you?" My eyes widened. "A drink? Something strong. A margarita, perhaps?" "Sure." As he mixed the drink, he chatted casually. "So, what brings you to France?" "France." I blinked. "This is Tokyo." He froze. "Are you all right?" He suddenly began chanting in French. His form expanded, twisting into a monstrous silhouette. So, he was the devil. Before I could react, he spat a dark liquid toward me. It burned through the sleeve of my uniform and seared my arm, but instead of panicking, I stepped back, breathing slowly as the damaged skin began regenerating. "That was not cool," I muttered, anger building. Really not how I wanted to spend my Friday. Third POV. Ray pushed herself up, her restored arm glowing faintly as the devil hissed. "Now you've done it," she said, her eyes sharpening. "You're going to regret that." Chapter 3. Third POV. "You're going to regret that, buddy." Ray didn't hesitate. She launched herself at the devil, striking with rapid punches and kicks, all of which the creature dodged with ease. "You're a tough one, aren't you?" She wiped a bit of blood from her lip and smirked before attacking again. Still, nothing seemed to make the creature flinch. "No matter how hard I hit, it won't fall. It has to have a weak spot. Everyone does." "C'est fini pour toi, petite fille," the devil hissed. "Seriously? We're in Japan, at least try speaking." Before she finished, the creature hurled a massive wave of the same corrosive black substance that had melted her arm earlier. This time, it aimed to destroy much more. Ray froze. Her life flashed before her eyes as the acid engulfed her. It was too thick, too fast for her body to regenerate in time. Is this it for me? Is it really my time? I haven't done any of the things I dreamed of. I never bought a mansion. Never found true love. Never figured out what Mom meant that night, the night she died. I should have used my abilities sooner. Guess this is it. Khan. A giant dog-like creature with swirling eyes appeared out of nowhere and lunged at the devil. "Aki," Ray managed to say. "I shouldn't have left an amateur like you to handle this alone," he said, rushing to her side. He reached out to help her up, only to realize half her body was gone. "Yeah, just give me a second to pull myself together," she laughed weakly. In less than 10 seconds, her entire body regenerated, earning a shocked stare from Aki. Most devils needed hours, sometimes days, to heal. Ray watched as the spectral dog shredded the devil to pieces. Guilt and frustration tightened in her chest. She scratched the back of her neck as she stood. "Sorry. I thought I could handle it without using my powers. Guess I underestimated him." "That was an amateur mistake," Aki said, though his voice softened. "But don't beat yourself up. Everyone needs time to learn. Ray's eyes widened. Did he just say something nice? That's enough, Con. Good work. The summoned dog vanished. Aki and Ray walked deeper into the alley, searching for the missing boy from earlier. Aki, Ray murmured. I think I found him. I see. They both stared quietly at the dismembered remains. Well, what are you going to tell his mother? Ray asked. We tried our best. We fought hard. But we were too late. Ray sighed. You know, Aki, I'm really in the mood for some tequila right now. Then boom. I grabbed my bloodhammer and knocked his teeth out. Power bragged. What? I did all the work. Denji argued. You were petting a cat while I fought for my life. Blah blah, Denji. Just admit a girl saved you this time. You're impossible. Denji, Power, Aki, and Ray sat around a table at a small pizzeria. Ray was supposed to be bonding with her new teammates, but she mostly sipped her tequila and kept quiet. So Ray, Denji asked suddenly, where are you from? Me. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Don't try to sound mysterious. I'm not. I really don't know. My mom and I moved around a lot, and she never told me anything. Ray casually finished her drink. Waiter? Another glass, please. You shouldn't drink that much, Aki said. This is just a break. We're not done for the day. Oh, Aki, relax. How many rules do you carry around at once? Denji and Power snickered. Aki clicked his tongue. Hey, Aki, Denji asked. When's Miss Makima coming back from Kyoto? I don't know. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Ray scoffed. Stop trying to keep her all to yourself. She's not interested in you. His face turned red. That's not the point. Makima is a busy woman. She values privacy. Sure, Ray muttered. She doesn't seem like she wants to be with anyone. She's distant. Hey, Makima is a wonderful person. What? Is she your girlfriend now? Ray teased. I'm not sure yet, Denji interrupted proudly. She let me, hug her once. And she said she'd consider dating me if I defeat the Gun Devil. Ray and Aki choked on their drinks. The Gun Devil? Aki sputtered. Ignoring him, Ray asked, and how was the hug? Soft. Really soft. Ray blinked. Wow. Denji shrugged. You into Makima too? Ray took a sip of her new drink. It's weird. It feels like we knew each other in another life. And in this one, we're destined to clash. I don't get what's so great about her, Power said. I'd rather slice her up and give her to Meowie. Everyone stared at her in silence. Denji leaned forward. If you want Makima's attention, you'll need to get stronger. Ray frowned. Why tell me that? Isn't she your crush? I wouldn't mind sharing, Denji said casually. You're pretty cool too. Ray narrowed her eyes. Well, I don't like sharing. Denji crossed his arms. Then I guess you'll just have to make her fall for you. Make her fall for me, huh? Friday night, 11:30 p.m., Kyoto. Makima quietly hummed a soft melody as she flipped through Ray Hamako's file. She held it in one hand and a cup of warm tea in the other. I'm still a little sad you forgot about me, Ray, she murmured. But maybe, that means there's still a future for us. Miss, your car is ready, an assistant said. Makima set her things aside. I'll be down in a moment. She looked at Ray's file one last time, slipped the photo out, and placed it gently into her wallet. A small smile formed on her lips. I'm going to have a lot of fun with you, Ray. Chapter 4. Ray's POV. I wiped the sweat off my hands as I waited in the sleek black Rolls-Royce that Makima had instructed me to enter. I sat there stiffly, careful not to touch anything. I didn't want to ruin the luxurious interior. Everything had happened so fast today, my brain still struggled to catch up. Power, Denji, and I had been assigned a case as soon as we stepped into HQ. None of us were thrilled, and after a brief argument, We dove in. I let Power and Denji handle most of the heavy work. I wasn't about to get devil blood all over my hair. They teased me for holding back, but it was quickly forgiven when I offered to pay for their lunch. By the time the day ended, we were exhausted. We were just about to clock out when, of course, the universe decided to send a devil our way. This time, I decided to join in, carefully, without using my powers. The devil was small, and frankly, I thought it was ridiculous that 3 humans had struggled with it. Power seemed to agree, and we bonded over our shared amusement, while Denji and I, well, we bonded over less important things. Afterward, I said my goodbyes and started heading toward my apartment. Standing at the door searching for my keys, I noticed a matte black Rolls-Royce pull up. My phone rang. "Hello," I answered. "Ray." "Makima," I replied, confused. "Get in." "Excuse me. The car in front of you." "Oh, right. Yes, ma'am." And now here I was, sitting in the back of a luxury car, not knowing if I was about to be in serious trouble, or just having a really unusual evening. I poured myself a glass of champagne to calm my nerves, but just as I was about to open it, the opposing door opened. Makima slid into the seat beside me, and my body tensed further. "Ah!" She let out a soft sigh, leaning back in the seat. Then, a small smile formed on her face. "Hey!" I kept my gaze fixed on the floor. "Hi! I missed you, Ray." My breath hitched. "Oh, really? I guess I missed you too." She giggled, resting her chin on her hand, her elbow perched on her knee. "Really? Is this a test?" I muttered. No, don't worry. No tests tonight. We're just going to have some fun." "Fun? Wait, is this a date? So, what exactly are we doing?" I asked. "You just surprised me out of nowhere." She tilted her head and smiled that unnerving, teasing smile. I felt my stomach twist nervously. "Just trust me," she said softly. "We're going to have fun, Ray." I smiled awkwardly, deciding not to press further. It seemed she was the type to reveal things slowly, and, somehow, I loved that about her. We sat in silence as the car moved along. Eventually, she spoke again. "So, Ray, I hear you're getting along with Power and Denji." "Yeah," I said. "They're pretty cool." She raised an eyebrow. "And what do you think of their abilities?" "Well, Power's ability is incredible. Turning blood into weapons? That's wild. And Denji." I realized I hadn't seen Denji use his full powers yet. He'd fought with his sword and strength before, but not in his devil form. "Ah, I see. He hasn't revealed his full ability yet, has he?" She placed her tea down and turned her full attention to me. "Not really," she said. "But I still think he's strong." She looked away briefly, then met my gaze. "You know, Ray." She leaned slightly closer. Her words were calm but carried weight. "I have dogs everywhere, in China, America, Russia. But of all my precious dogs, I find you and Denji the most fascinating." I blinked, unsure what she meant, but I could feel a strange warmth from her attention. "What do you mean, ma'am?" I asked. "I mean you and Denji are alike. Lost, without guidance. I took you in." I forced myself to focus, though my mind raced. She's calling me her responsibility, but the way she said it, there's something more. "What is it that you want in this world, Ray?" Her hand rested on my thigh, but it wasn't threatening. It was calm, deliberate, and oddly comforting. I struggled to answer. "Yes," she prompted. Before I could finish, the driver's voice cut through the intercom. "We're here, miss." Relief washed over me. Whatever I had been expecting, it wasn't this. Makima withdrew her hand and gave me a small, composed smile. "Let's go. We have a lot to discuss," she said. I straightened my posture and followed her out. We arrived at a small, secluded building. A guard asked for a password. Makima presented a black card from her pocket, and he immediately stepped aside. As we entered, I was surprised. The room was dimly lit, filled with dancers performing in elegant, traditional style. My face heated up in awe and embarrassment. "Is this paradise?" I whispered. Makima laughed softly. I had made her laugh 3 times tonight already. "I want to introduce you to some important people, Ray," she said, taking my hand and leading me through the room. I tried to focus on her, but the room was full of impressive, confident performers moving gracefully, their energy captivating. We reached a secured room accessible only with the black card. A guard stepped forward. "Your card?" he asked. I stepped forward and gave him a firm look. "I'm with her." Makima nodded. The guard hesitated, then let us pass, wary of challenging me. "There's nothing I admire more than a strong personality," Makima said quietly, "but remember to watch your language in front of others." I nodded, following her. I could feel the serious, commanding presence of everyone in the room, but with Makima by my side, I felt ready. "Hello, everybody," she announced, her voice calm but powerful. Chapter 5. Ray's POV. "Hello, everybody." Makima's calm, confident voice filled the room as she settled onto the big red sofa. I followed, sitting next to her like a lost puppy. The room made me feel small. Everyone looked like they belonged in a high-powered organization, with expensive suits and a strong scent of cologne in the air. Across the large round table sat 3 women and 1 man. The man had slicked-back blue hair and held a cigar casually in one hand. The 2 women seemed like opposites. One appeared sharp and logical, the other calm and relaxed, almost like me. "Good evening, Makima. How are you this evening?" The man's voice was deep and raspy, his gaze fixed on Makima. "Oh, Tadashi, I'm very well. And you?" "Me. I'm great. My team just hijacked a Russian plane," he said with a small chuckle. Makima giggled lightly at the remark. A white-haired woman turned her attention to me. "And who's the new one?" Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "This beauty," Makima said with a soft smile. "Her name is Ray. She's new to the agency, and she's a half-devil." Several people reacted, some with surprise, some cautiously. "I'm not hostile, I promise." I held my hands up and gave a sheepish smile. Makima nodded at the white-haired woman. Megumi, as always, sharp as ever. Megumi leaned forward slightly. "Makima, you wouldn't bring just anyone here. She must be important to you." Makima clasped her hands together. "Exactly. Everyone, as you know, our operation will be taking place sooner than expected, so we need all the help we can get." "And don't we already have enough devils?" another woman asked, her tone skeptical. "Ray isn't like any of our devils," Makima explained. "Her ability, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful we have." "What ability?" the white-haired woman asked, resting her legs casually on the table. Makima gestured to me. "Actually, Ray, why don't you explain it yourself?" My eyebrows shot up. "Me? Yes. Nobody knows it better than you." I stood, brushing off my blazer and straightening my tie. Ahem. Well, my mom was known as the Depression Devil. She could produce waves that made anyone in a 10-meter radius relive their most difficult or scariest moments. I took a sip of water, gathering my thoughts. After she passed, the ability was passed on to me. And that's about it. I returned to my seat, slightly embarrassed. "Wow!" someone murmured. Makima's smile widened. "See, I told you this meeting would be worth it." The blue-haired man cleared his throat. "Interesting. But what if a devil hasn't experienced trauma? Would the ability still work?" "It's rare for a devil to be completely untested by hardship," I said, feeling a little proud of myself. "But if they haven't, the ability still has ways to affect them." "I see. Makima, you have quite the talent here." "I told you," she said with a smile. "All my dogs are extraordinary." "What about Chainsaw?" someone asked. Makima's eyes sparkled. She chuckled softly. "Don't worry, I've got him under control." The meeting wrapped up soon after. Everyone shook hands, said their goodbyes, and left, leaving Makima and me alone. "So, Ray," she said, turning to me with a playful smile, Are you ready for some fun? I tilted my head and nodded slowly. She took my hand, guiding me to another part of the club. Ah, man. Another meeting? I muttered. Makima laughed. No, silly. I said we were here for fun. She opened a red door, revealing a room filled with dancers moving to lively music. My eyes widened. This is amazing. Makima chuckled and followed me inside, closing the door behind her. From that moment, the night became a blur of excitement and laughter, memories I could never fully recall. Ray's POV. I woke up with a pounding headache, a reminder of the previous night's chaos. I swallowed some painkillers and began tidying my small apartment. Today, I was hosting Power for lunch. Convincing her was easy. I promised she could bring her cat, Meowie, and that I would cook. I had considered inviting Denji or Aki, but decided to save them for another day. For now, it was just Power and me. I pulled a pizza from the oven, set it on a coaster, and sliced it neatly. I set the table with my mom's special cutlery and flowers, though I hesitated. I wasn't sure how Power would react. Ding. That must be her, I muttered, running to the door in my casual pajamas. Hey! Power burst in, carrying Meowie. Where's the food? I'm starving, and so is Meowie. Okay. Coming. I laughed, leading her to the table. She devoured the pizza and mozzarella sticks enthusiastically, catching me staring. What cha looking at? She asked with a mouthful. I chuckled. Nothing. Just amazed at how much you love food. Of course. Food is life. We laughed and settled into a comfortable silence. Eventually, I spoke. Hey, I've been meaning to ask about Denji. Ugh, no, we're not dating, Power replied quickly. Right, got it. But, what's his ability? She stroked Meowie's fur and explained. He has a unique ability. He can transform parts of his body in a way that's unusual, but effective in battle. Ah, okay. Got it, I said, suppressing my curiosity about the details. She tilted her head. It's Saturday. You're not supposed to think too hard. Let's just watch a movie. Perfect, I said, grinning. As long as it's not a romance. We settled in, enjoying the quiet, simple pleasure of good food and good company. Chapter 6. Third POV. Ray stretched her arms above her head, letting out a loud yawn that drew a few curious glances from the cafe patrons. After all that happened yesterday, you're still tired? The dark-haired man asked, sipping his latte. Huh. Yeah, today really drained me, she replied with a slight whine. Drained you? Please, I did most of the work while you were talking to the victims, Aki said, taking a measured sip of his tea. I wasn't flirting. I was calming them down, Ray defended herself, rolling her eyes. Sure, he muttered, smirking slightly. They settled into a quiet moment, sipping their drinks and listening to the ambient chatter of the cafe. So, Aki, what's your story? Ray asked, curiosity in her voice. My story. He placed his teacup down and folded his arms, looking at her thoughtfully. Yeah, when I look at you, I feel like there's a lot you've been through, she said, resting her chin on her hand, her eyes fixed on him. He frowned, arms crossed. Why would I tell someone I barely know about my business? Well, you don't have to. If you want to sit here awkwardly, that's fine too, she said lightly, picking up her now lukewarm tea and glancing out the window. After what felt like an eternity of silence, he sighed deeply and ran a hand through his black hair. I grew up in a small family. Mother, father, my little brother, and me. Ray leaned in slightly, intrigued. My little brother was often sick, so my parents focused on him. I spent a lot of time alone. One day, I went outside to play while he rested. And then, his gaze drifted to the window, a shadow of sadness passing over his face. And then? Ray gently reached for his hand, encouraging him to continue. He flinched slightly at her touch but met her gaze briefly. They were all taken from me. His voice was calm but carried a weight that made the air between them heavy. You've heard my story. Let's go before it gets dark. He left a few yen on the table and walked away, leaving Rei momentarily stunned. It was as if the man she'd just gotten to know had shifted back to the guarded, distant person she was familiar with. Yet, she couldn't help but smile, fangs showing slightly, as she trailed behind him. We all have our own painful memories. I shouldn't force him to share, but maybe one day he'll feel ready. Is that all? The red-haired woman asked, raising an eyebrow at Rei and Aki. They had just finished discussing the day's protocol. Yes, ma'am, Rei replied, nodding toward Aki. She then perched on the edge of her desk, folding her arms. You two seem to be getting along remarkably well, Makima said, a playful smirk on her lips. Rei put an arm around Aki's shoulder, drawing him close. We're totally best friends now, she said teasingly. Aki pulled away with a scowl. We're not best friends. I just tolerate you better. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, Makima said, chuckling softly. The red-haired woman's gaze lingered on the pair. They did look good together. Miss. Aki's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Yes. Are we dismissed? Makima shook her head. Actually, I'd like a word with Rei. Aki nodded and left the office, leaving the two women alone. Rei approached cautiously. If this is about anything awkward, I swear it wasn't my idea, she said, earning a quiet laugh from Makima. No, darling. It's not that simple. Makima's face softened, showing a rare vulnerability. Rei stepped closer, concern in her eyes. Hey, what's wrong? She asked, placing a comforting hand on Makima's shoulder. Makima leaned into her gently, silently sharing the weight of her emotions. Rei held her close, rubbing her back and murmuring soothing words until Makima finally pulled away slightly, looking into Rei's eyes. Rei! Makima whispered. Yes, ma'am. Rei responded softly, her gaze unwavering. Makima's expression softened further, and for a brief moment, a quiet, unspoken connection passed between them. Chapter 7. Third POV. Rei. Makima's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. Without hesitation, Rei stepped closer, their eyes meeting. Instead of anything explicit, the moment became an intimate and meaningful connection. A soft, lingering kiss on the lips. It was tender, a silent conversation between them, full of unspoken understanding and mutual trust. They held the moment, letting the tension of the day melt away. Rei gently brushed a strand of hair from Makima's face, and Makima rested her hand on Rei's shoulder, leaning in slightly. There was a subtle electricity between them, a closeness that went beyond words. Makima finally pulled back slightly, a soft smile tugging at her lips. How far do you want to take this, emotionally? She asked, her voice teasing but gentle. Rei's eyes sparkled with warmth. I think, as far as we can without rushing, she replied, her tone light but sincere. Makima chuckled softly and nodded. Good. That's all I wanted to hear. They shared a quiet laugh, their bond deepening in a way that didn't need words or physical intensity. Rei felt a sense of calm she hadn't realized she needed, and Makima's golden eyes softened as she looked back at her. The night ended with them sitting together, quietly enjoying each other's company, a connection built on trust, understanding, and a subtle spark of something more. Third POV. Rei entered the office, energized and smiling, clearly refreshed from the previous night. She flopped into her chair, casually resting her feet on the table, making Aki roll his eyes. You're late, he said, folding his arms, a small frown on his face. Yep, she replied with a playful grin, stretching slightly. What's got you in such a good mood? Power asked, munching on her apple. Rei giggled softly, shaking her head. Let's just say I had quite an interesting evening, with someone important, she teased, earning an exaggerated "oh" from Power. Denji cleared his throat, looking confused. That's funny, because I might have had a similar experience, Denji said with a mischievous grin. Rei raised an eyebrow, trying to hide her smile. Oh really? Denji shrugged, smirking. Rei rolled her eyes but couldn't help laughing. Aki's tone turned serious. We have a mission today. Power groaned. So, we always have missions. This one is different. It involves the gun devil, Aki said, pausing to gauge their reactions. The trio remained calm, almost too calm. What was I expecting from you three? Aki muttered, covering his eyes in exasperation. We're meeting another team, he continued, and I expect everyone to behave, especially in front of Himino. Rei's eyes widened. Himino's going to be there? Yes. You know her? Aki asked. Yeah. She saved my life once, Rei replied, a bright smile spreading across her face. Aki nodded, satisfied. She was my mentor. That's why I need everyone on their best behavior. Power growled under her breath at Aki's wording, while Rei stood, fists raised. Then what are we waiting for? Mission starts at 10 a.m., Aki reminded her, his tone slightly impatient. Then why call us so early? Rei asked, hands on her hips. I need Power and Denji to write a protocol for our last mission, and I need to speak with you privately, Aki explained. Rei leaned back in her chair, curiosity piqued. Me? Why? Power and Denji, you're dismissed. And don't slack. I need that protocol by 9, Aki ordered. The two left, grumbling under their breath. Rei moved closer to Aki's desk. So, what did you want to talk about? He leaned back in his chair, arms behind his head. I don't want to seem nosy, but I need to ask, what did you and Makima discuss last night? Rei shrugged nonchalantly. Just work stuff, really. Aki frowned slightly, unconvinced. It's important to be honest with your superiors, you know. Rei tilted her head, smirking softly. Who said I was lying? Aki leaned closer, his expression serious but not threatening. The energy I sensed last night suggests otherwise. Rei's pulse quickened slightly, not from anything physical, but from the intensity of his focus on her, a silent acknowledgement of a night that had changed something between them. Chapter 8. Rei's POV. We're here. I finally arrived at the site of our joint mission, a massive hotel. Himino's team was already there, and I have to admit, I was a bit disappointed. I expected some serious professionals, but all we got was a nervous girl and a clueless guy. Oh my gosh, it's you! Himino exclaimed, wrapping an arm around my shoulder. I offered her my warmest smile. Yep. I'm surprised you haven't forgotten about me yet, I teased. She gasped dramatically and clutched her chest. How could I forget a cutie like you? She nudged my arm, and I laughed awkwardly. Our attention turned back to Aki as he cleared his throat. Right, sorry. Aki, explain the mission. To put it simply, a devil is inside this building. Not just any devil, this one has ingested a piece of the gun devil. He pointed to a fragment suspended by a rope, which seemed to move of its own accord. So, the devil we're after has a piece of the gun devil, Denji asked. Are you sure the gun devil itself isn't here? I replied matter-of-factly. The pull is too weak. The larger the piece, the stronger the pull. It's simple physics. Aki nodded at me, confirming I was correct. Nerd, Power yelled, laughing so hard she nearly doubled over. I sighed and face-bombed, wondering if I was the only one paying attention. That's enough. We're with another team, so behave, Himino said sharply, crossing her arms. Any questions? A boy from her team raised one timidly. Can we even trust these three? He asked, pointing at Denji, Power, and me. Before I could respond, Aki cut in. We won't trust them with our backs. They're useful for exorcism, and if they double-cross us, we'll deal with it. I rolled my eyes and muttered under my breath. Power looked furious. Himino waved her hands gently, trying to calm everyone down. All right, let's get this over with, Aki said. Look at those two idiots, I whispered, pointing at Denji and the clueless guy racing down the hall. I shook my head, remembering my own embarrassing mistakes from the past. I want to finish this quickly, I muttered. Power nudged my shoulder. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing. Just humans, I sighed. She laughed. Me too. Suddenly, we all froze as a door creaked open. Here it comes, Himino whispered. A tiny creature darted out of the doorway, and I stared in disbelief. What is that? It lunged toward Himeno's teammate but froze mid-air. What's happening? I wondered aloud. All right, time for action, Power exclaimed, drawing her weapon and taking the creature down with precision. Why did it freeze? I asked, curious. It's because of me, Power said proudly. No, it was actually my ghost who caught it, Himeno corrected. Ghost? I repeated. I have a contract with the ghost devil. It lets me use its powers in exchange for my right eye. Handy, right? I rolled my eyes. Humans don't respect us, yet rely on our powers. Typical. Aki's gaze was sharp, reminding me to stay polite. Respect goes both ways, I said, standing my ground. Himeno quickly intervened. Don't worry, I don't feel disrespected. Let's just move on. As we explored the hotel, a strange feeling crept over me. Something didn't feel right. Wait, didn't we just go from the 8th floor to the 9th? I asked, confused. Yeah. Denji replied. This is the 8th floor again. I went to check by taking the stairs, only to end up back on the same floor. Ray, didn't you just go down the stairs? Himeno asked. Exactly, I said, pointing. Kobini was told to stay still while Himeno ran down the stairs, only to return to the same spot. Aki, any ideas? Himeno asked. Probably a devil's ability, he said calmly. We examined the floor further, discovering that all the windows led back into rooms instead of outside. Looks like we're stuck on the 8th floor, I muttered, a chill running down my spine. Chapter 9. Ray's POV. The TV isn't even working. I flung the remote against the wall and collapsed on the bed. This is ridiculous. We were in one of the hotel bedrooms, trying to figure out our next move. Well, Aki was trying. Maybe if you actually got up and helped, he suggested. Nah, I'm just going to take a nap. You guys manage. I slipped off my suit jacket and shoes and flopped next to Denji on the soft bed. Unfortunately, my rest was interrupted by muffled sobs. We're all going to die here, Kobini whimpered, clutching her knees. Girl, what? I sat up, deadpan. I should have gone to college, she cried. But they only cared about my brother. The bozo on her team rushed over and pulled her into a hug. You need to stay strong, Kobini. You're a devil hunter, remember? I wanted a normal life, she sniffled. I groaned and got off the bed, walking over to them. Gently but firmly, I held her shoulders. Kobini, we won't make it if you panic like this. Devils are drawn to fear. And right now, you're glowing like a target. Take a deep breath and focus. Aki shot me a disapproving look, but I just shrugged and went back to the bed. Suddenly, Denji's mischievous grin made me jump. What are you doing? I yelped. He just blinked, looking innocent. Nothing. I rolled my eyes. I'm done with this. I'm going to help Aki find that devil. I found Aki standing by the window, smoking a cigarette, staring into nothing. Hey, I said, leaning against the frame. He glanced at me briefly. Hey, I came to help. He rolled his eyes slightly. Why are you like this? I asked, arms crossed. Like what? Emotionless, cold, unbothered by everything. He shrugged. I'm not emotionless. I just don't wear my heart on my sleeve. Fair enough. Can I have a cigarette? I pointed to the one in his hand. No. Why not? Because I said so. I huffed, annoyed. Ever since this morning, you've been worse than usual. What's your deal? He gave me a sidelong glance. I see. You're jealous. Jealous of what? I raised an eyebrow. You're jealous I got close to Makima before you. He looked slightly embarrassed. Bull, whatever, I muttered, rolling my eyes. Before we could continue, a loud groan echoed from behind us. Our heads snapped around, and my jaw dropped. The devil from earlier had grown 10 times larger. What the? I'll go tell the others, I said, sprinting off. I thought I killed it, Power muttered, staring at the massive creature. I've never seen a devil this powerful before, Himino added, wide-eyed. The beast bellowed. Foolish humans. It can talk. I whispered. I'll offer you a contract. Contract. We all looked confused. Yes. Feed me the human named Denji, and I will let you go. Denji looked timid, glancing at the group. We're not giving you anyone, I said firmly. Himino, can't you end this with your fox? Someone asked. Aki tried, but nothing appeared. As expected, this place is sealed off from the outside. My fox is in Kyoto. I frowned, thinking. Miss Himino, the bozo piped up. Can't we just give it what it wants? No one's sacrificing anyone, I said, raising my hand in defense. Denji shrugged, surprisingly calm. The devil's contract ensures both sides must follow the rules. If we give it Denji and it doesn't let us go, it dies instantly, Himino explained. I still say no, I replied. Why this particular human? It benefits from his death, Aki stated calmly. Then I refuse too, Himino added. I nodded in agreement. But I'm on team no Denji. I deadpanned at Power. But if we don't give it Denji, it might trap us here forever. Kobini said, now clutching a knife, ready to defend herself. Aki, do you even have a plan? Himino asked, her voice calm but serious. Aki only sighed, covering his eyes with one hand. If it comes down to it, I might have to use the sword. Himino's eyes widened. What sword? I wondered, confused. No, she added firmly. I frowned. If the sword is what it takes to get us out of here safely, then why not use it? Dude, if the sword will save us, then use it. Why not? Denji's words mirrored my thoughts perfectly. Himino shook her head. Aki will not use the sword, even in the worst-case scenario. And if that happens, Denji, I'm afraid you'll have to be the sacrifice. My jaw dropped. Why? I demanded, frustration rising. She said nothing, leaving me irritated and speechless. I had always thought Himino was different, someone I could trust. But now, I wasn't so sure. Just so you know, I said, narrowing my eyes at her, I'm not letting you harm Denji. Oh, you seem awfully protective of him, she teased, smirking. Is there something there? I smirked back, matching her stare. You have no idea. For a moment, we locked eyes, each daring the other to look away. Suddenly, a scream of shattering glass echoed from the monster ahead. Run! We sprinted, all 7 of us, as fast as we could. Give it to me! Give me chains! Denji shouted. I will be the one to stop it, someone else yelled. The devil roared behind us, its massive form gaining on us. We ran blindly, hearts pounding, until the room suddenly tilted beneath our feet. Whoa! This is bad, Himino muttered, eyes scanning for the devil, which now waited at the bottom of the tilt. Someone stop it! Kobini cried, tears streaming down her face. Yes! Let's just give it Denji! Another panicked voice added. No! I shouted. I'll handle this with the sword. Before I could move, Himino's ghost attacked, trying to stop Aki from using it. Wait, what are you doing? I shouted at her, frustration and panic in my voice. This could work, she said calmly, but using the sword will shorten his lifespan significantly. He still has too much to do. I fell silent, realizing the weight of the situation. Suddenly, Kobini and the bozo lunged at Denji, trying to follow the devil's demands. Denji! I yelled, rushing to stop them. Kobini's knife swung toward him, but Aki moved just in time, taking the impact himself. Yeah, he's a difficult guy, and sometimes you want to be mad at him. But he's essential to our mission. We need him, Aki groaned, wincing from the blow. What do we do now? I whispered, unsure. I'll handle this, Denji said, determination flashing in his eyes. I'll let it take me in. But I've got a plan. I'll bust out the chainsaw from inside. His gaze met mine, steady and convincing. Slowly, I nodded, trusting him. Don't you die on me, I said, gripping his arm. I won't, he replied with a small, confident smile. Then, without hesitation, he pulled a mechanism from his chest and leapt into the devil's waiting maw. Stay safe, I whispered, hoping we'd all make it out alive. Chapter 10. Ray's POV. All right, he's all healed up. I nodded at Power, then turned back to look at the enormous devil that had swallowed Denji just moments ago. He promised he wouldn't die, and I had to believe him. Suddenly, a chainsaw emerged from inside the creature. I jolted upright, eyes wide as I watched Denji transform, ready to fight. There was something almost heroic in the way he looked, fearless and determined. Go get him, Denji! I shouted, pumping my fist. The others rallied behind us, cheering him on. The beast roared, So you are alive after all, Chainsaw. My concern turned to hope as Denji gained the upper hand. He can actually win this. He can get us out of here, I muttered, holding my breath. But then the tide began to turn. Oh, I whispered, covering my eyes. He's losing a lot of blood, Power noted. And if he loses too much, the chainsaw will retract, Aki added calmly. I gasped, staring at him in disbelief. We can't let that happen. I rose, ready to jump in, but Aki grabbed my arm firmly. Don't be an idiot, Ray. I'm supposed to just watch my friend get swallowed? I snapped, pulling my arm free. That's not. No. Maybe you don't care about us because we're devils, but these two. I pointed at Power and Denji. They're my friends, and I'm not standing by while they're in danger. Aki sighed, running a hand through his hair. Do you even have a plan? Yes, I said, rolling up my sleeves. I'm going to use my ability. It had been a year or two since I last used my powers. When I was first recruited as a devil hunter, they had warned me not to reveal them too soon. But now, with Denji's life on the line, I didn't care. If I were you, I'd step back, I said, slicing my finger and drawing pentagrams in my palms with blood. This might get messy. Aki raised a brow, but I smiled confidently. It'll only take seconds to get Denji out of there. All right, let's move. Power called, dragging Aki along. Himino and her team followed, keeping a safe distance. Showtime, I muttered, jumping into the devil without hesitation. Denji's chainsaws were fading, and the creature's roars grew louder. Chainsaw! I will kill you! The devil bellowed. I think not, I muttered, focusing my energy. The movements of the devil froze, and Denji returned to human form. Hang on, this might hurt a bit, I warned, but there was no time for hesitation. I grabbed Denji and pulled him out just as the devil doubled in size, ready to explode. Go! Move! Now! I shouted, racing through the hallways as fast as I could. The others followed, keeping pace as we narrowly escaped the expanding threat. Third POV. Ray's eyes fluttered open at a soft voice calling her name. A tray of food rested on the bedside table, and beside it stood a kind-faced nurse. Ah, you're finally awake. I hope you like chicken, the nurse said with a gentle smile. I do, thank you, Ray replied, a small smile tugging at her lips. Before she could eat, the door clicked again, and Aki entered, placing a small gift basket on the table. He settled in the chair beside her bed, his expression unreadable. How are you feeling? He asked, his dark eyes briefly meeting hers. My hands are numb, and my head hurts, but other than that, I'm fine. You? I'm all right, he nodded. Ray noticed the lingering tension and awkward silence. Aki let out a deep sigh and stood, placing a hand on her shoulder. Listen, before the mission, I may have seemed cold, even dismissive. I know I implied that your lives were meaningless, he admitted. I know, Ray interrupted with a small laugh. And I wasn't exactly perfect either. I care about you, he said quietly. About Power and Denji, too. I've gotten used to having all of you around. The noise, the chaos, even your constant bickering. Rei's heart softened. I've gotten used to you too, Aki. For a few moments, they simply looked at each other, the room filled with a comfortable silence. A soft knock at the door interrupted them. Visiting hours are almost over, the nurse reminded, smiling apologetically. Aki withdrew his hand, clearing his throat. Rest well, Rei. Oh, and Himino is hosting a thank you party on Friday. Rei smiled faintly. I'll be there, and I want you there too. Whatever. Goodbye, Rei, he said, leaving the room. Rei watched him go, her eyes returning to the window. A soft whisper escaped her lips. I miss you, Makima. Chapter 11. Rei's POV. Okay. I look good. I twirled in front of the mirror one last time, checking my outfit. Tonight was Himino's so-called thank you party, and despite my mixed feelings about her, after the exhausting week we'd had, a little fun sounded perfect. Ooh, these earrings are cute. I admired the gold hoops against my brown skin. I had decided to go for a more feminine look tonight, stepping away from my usual tomboy style. A little black dress, stockings, red heels, hair styled perfectly, and my favorite subtle perfume. I was ready. Oh, my taxi's here. I grabbed my purse, gave myself one last look in the mirror, and stepped out. Tonight, I was leaving the driving to someone else. Red saxophone bar, please, I told the driver. Leaning against the window, the city lights reflected off the glass, and I smiled. This is going to be fun. Later on. Oh, look who finally showed up. Himino enveloped me in an overly enthusiastic hug. I awkwardly patted her back and gave her a small smile. Hey, I murmured. Come on, don't tell me you're still upset. The past is the past, love, she teased, pouting playfully. I rolled my eyes, conceding with a grin. All right, the others have been waiting. And wow, you look amazing tonight. Denji's going to be distracted for sure, she said, dragging me toward the back of the bar. The smell of drinks and smoke filled the air. Colleagues mingled, chatting and laughing. I spotted the familiar faces of my team. I'm gonna get you and drink your, Denji shouted dramatically. I'm into that, so. Joke's on you, Power shouted back. I laughed quietly. These two never failed to entertain me. Hey, you two, it's my party. No fighting tonight, I said, patting their heads. Power crossed her arms, looking unimpressed, while Denji stole glances at my dress. I rolled my eyes. My eyes are up here, I teased, sitting down and ordering a drink. You look great tonight, Denji said, raising his glass. And Power, you look incredible. That dress fits perfectly. Thanks, she smirked. It's a thrift find. I chuckled. I really liked her sense of humor. So, where's Aki? I asked. They shrugged. You know how much of a party pooper he is. Maybe it's for the best he's not here, Denji said casually. Then I saw her. The red-haired woman I'd been waiting to see all week. She looked stunning in a navy dress with a subtle slit, gold accents, and matching pumps. Ugh, party's over. I need a drink, Power muttered, clearly not a fan. Denji jumped up. Hey, you look amazing. The woman ruffled his hair, gave him a quick kiss on the cheek, and then fixed her gaze on me. Hey, I said, awkwardly scratching my neck. We hadn't really spoken since. Well, everything. Hello, Rei. It's been a while, hasn't it? She smiled, her gaze unwavering. It has. I'm glad you came, I replied. I nodded toward the bar. Is Aki here? Not yet, though he promised he'd come. She sat across from me, her posture relaxed. Denji, could you give us a moment? Sure, he groaned, walking away. The room quieted, and I focused on her. Rei, I've been meaning to talk to you. I raised an eyebrow, tuning out the background chatter. About the operation, she continued. We need your help for the next stage. I leaned back, folding my arms. I don't even know what this operation is about. Sometimes, it's better not to know everything, she said, her tone teasing. I still want to understand before using my ability, I countered. She chuckled lightly. No need to be so serious tonight. How about you come over later, and I'll explain everything. I hesitated at the thought of being alone with her. This could lead somewhere complicated. I'll think about it. Honestly, I didn't want to talk about work tonight. It's a party. I tried to keep the mood light. You're right. Let's have fun with the others. She held out her hand. I smiled, taking it, and we walked back to the bar together. Okay, take a shot if your body count is over 6, someone shouted. Laughter filled the room as half the crowd downed their drinks. Oh look, it's Ray and Makima. May we join in? She asked with a playful smile. Of course, I replied. Just call me Makima tonight, she said, waving. The tension in the room eased as everyone laughed and joined the game. For once, I was ready to relax. Tonight, I wasn't a devil hunter or a soldier. I was just here to enjoy myself, with friends, and maybe with something more. Chapter 12. Third POV. Whoa! Ray stumbled back as Makima's dogs excitedly approached her, sniffing and nudging her. With a snap of her fingers, the animals immediately fell in line, obedient and calm. I didn't know you were a dog person, Ray said, laughing as Makima guided her to the sofa. She poured Ray a glass of scotch and settled across from her. They're loyal and disciplined, Makima said with a small smile, her gaze lingering on Ray. So, are you going to tell me about this operation? Ray asked, taking a cautious sip. Makima tilted her head, considering her words. Let me ask you something first. Where do you see the future of humans and devils? Ray pondered for a moment. I guess I hope that one day humans and devils could live peacefully together. Makima's expression darkened in the moonlight streaming through the window. That will never happen, she said calmly. Ray frowned but didn't respond immediately. Makima chuckled softly. Perhaps we can influence things. But humans and devils have very different natures. It's why conflicts are inevitable. She stood and walked to an aquarium, showing Ray, a small fish struggling to survive in her hand. Humans naturally resist what threatens them. Devils are naturally drawn to power and control. It's the same curiosity, but from opposite sides. Ray listened intently, trying to understand the lesson beneath her words. Makima really is intense. Sitting back down, Makima met Ray's gaze. There's more. Something you need to know about me. Ray raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Makima's tone was steady, yet serious. I'm a devil myself. The room fell silent. Ray stared, trying to process her words. She hadn't expected this revelation from her boss. Her feelings toward Makima shifted slightly. Curiosity, caution, and something unspoken lingered in the air. Who else knows? Ray finally asked, her voice steady despite the shock. None, Makima replied simply. The tension lingered as both considered the weight of the truth. Ray didn't know how to feel, awed, cautious, and intrigued all at once. I should probably head home, Ray said, standing. Makima reached out gently, resting a hand on Ray's arm. Her golden eyes held an intensity that made Ray pause. Ray, tonight, I just wanted to be honest with you. There's more I'll explain another time, when it's safe. Ray nodded, understanding the seriousness of her words. She felt a strange mixture of trust and wariness. I'll think about it, she said quietly, feeling a flutter of emotion she couldn't quite name. Makima gave a small, knowing smile. Rest well. There's a lot ahead of us, but I need you by my side. Ray watched her leave, heart pounding, mind swirling. Their relationship had changed tonight. Lines had shifted, and emotions were more complicated than ever. Chapter 13. Third POV. Hey, liar! The dark-haired man groaned, annoyed at his partner's hand gripping his shoulder. Morning. His tone was calm but stern, causing her face to scrunch in irritation. You really are impossible. She plopped into her favorite black office chair and rested her feet on the long wooden conference table. Where are the others? He asked, stapling a stack of papers. Ray raised an eyebrow. Don't they live with you? The male leaned back in his chair, hands behind his head, placing the documents aside. Yeah, but I haven't seen them since Friday night. Ray gasped. What if something happened to them? He casually lit a cigarette, placing it between his lips. I doubt it. They're probably goofing off somewhere. Ray frowned. If they're gone too long, the association might declare them as missing, or worse. They'll be fine, he said calmly. Ray got up, determined. I'm going to find them. Where do you think you're going? He asked, narrowing his eyes. To check on my friends. We have a lot to do today. Those two will show up eventually, he said. I don't care. I'm going. She moved toward the glass door but felt a firm grip on her arm. I'm your boss, he said sharply, locking eyes with her. If you step out this door, I won't hesitate to stop you. She scoffed. You. Stop me. That's laughable. They engaged in a silent, intense staring duel, neither willing to look away. What's going on here? Denji's voice cut through the tension. He and Power had just entered the room, looking nonchalant. Where have you two been? You had me worried. Ray scolded, though relief softened her tone. After the party, we went out for a little fun, Denji said with a smirk that explained everything. Don't do that again, Aki said, folding his arms. You're lucky I didn't report your absence. Yeah, Power said, dismissing him with a full mouth. Ray shook her head, amused but exasperated. I'm just glad you're okay. Aki seemed distracted, staring into nothing. Boss, what's the plan for today? She asked. He snapped back to attention. Right, so. Monday morning, 10 a.m., cafe. So, Aki, why are you being so grumpy? Ray asked as they sat across from each other, enjoying crepes and coffee. I'm not, he sighed, pushing his cup aside and crossing his arms. Just a bad morning. Do you want to talk about it? Ray asked, meeting his dark eyes. He paused, then relaxed slightly. Ray, can I trust you? She chuckled softly. Of course. We're friends, aren't we? He nodded, gazing out the window. Ray noticed the subtle sadness in his expression, the tiredness he'd shown even earlier during patrols. Why'd you ask? She said, placing her hand gently over his. He didn't pull away. Are you okay? He asked, looking down at their hands. The warmth of her touch seemed to comfort him, though he'd never admit it. Ray hesitated, then asked, Can we trust her? His eyes met hers. Who? Makima. Can we trust her? Ray leaned back, thinking. She knew Makima was a devil, a secret only she held, and the weight of that knowledge pressed on her. I don't know, she admitted. I really don't. Aki nodded, sipping his now cold coffee. I suspected as much. I've worked with her since I was a kid, trusting her completely. But now, I'm not so sure. He paused, staring at the empty cafe tables around them. There's something happening right under our noses, and I have a feeling you might know more than you're letting on. Ray's heart raced. He's onto me. She forced herself to stay calm. I'm not accusing you, he said, softening. I just need to know if you have any insight. Look, Ray said lightly, smiling. Just because she and I interacted doesn't mean I know everything about her. Aki gave a small, understanding nod, standing up and tossing some money onto the table. Come on, we have work to do. Ray followed, her mind buzzing. One way or another, she would have to figure out how much to reveal. Chapter 14. Third POV. Have you ever been to Kyoto before? The red-haired woman asked, sitting across from Ray, who was still mesmerized by the bullet train outside. Nope. My mom never let me travel far. She was always worried about my safety. Makima smiled warmly and placed her cool hand over Ray's warm one. I like it when you talk about your mother. Really? Why? Ray asked, curiosity flickering across her face. Well, you can't see it, but whenever you do, there's a certain gleam in your eyes. It's beautiful. Ray felt herself blush. Oh, I never noticed. Of course you haven't. unless you're standing in front of a mirror and thinking about her. Makima chuckled softly. Right, haha, Ray said, awkwardly scratching the back of her neck. The two sat in comfortable silence, appreciating each other's presence without needing words. Finally, Ray broke the quiet. Say, Makima. What are we? The question had been on her mind for a while. She knew the dynamics of casual relationships, but there was something about her red-haired boss that intrigued her. Makima's expression softened. I used to think of you as just one of my associates, but now, I'm not so sure. Ray's heart sank slightly. I see. She had expected little more than ambiguity. A committed relationship with Makima seemed impossible. But I will say this, Makima added with a small smile, you are currently my most valuable asset. Ray's lips pressed into a thin line. Being called a valuable asset made her feel more like a tool than a person, and it frustrated her, though she kept her composure. Suddenly, a guard burst into the room, blood staining his uniform, his face pale and terrified. Miss, we have a breach, he shouted. Makima remained calm, her expression neutral. How did this happen? The guard's sentence was cut short by a bullet. He collapsed, lifeless, on the floor. Ray froze in shock, staring at Makima. We just leave him? Yes. Makima's voice was calm, almost detached. We can't risk anyone else being caught. Ray's frustration bubbled up. You don't care about humans? I don't, in the way you think. But we have to act fast. Before they could react further, two men in black suits entered. One had long black hair, the other a blonde buzz cut. Both carried weapons, and their presence immediately felt threatening. HM. And who's this beauty? The black-haired man said, moving toward Ray. Ray instinctively pushed him back. Don't touch me. The man pinned her to the ground, and she realized these weren't ordinary humans. They had strength far beyond normal. Aizen and Renji. 4 years, right? Makima asked calmly, as if she weren't in immediate danger. Ray struggled to speak. Makima, what is happening? Aizen smirked. Makima, still as impressive as ever. But we're here for revenge, and to collect 2 of your secret assets. Ray's heart pounded. She realized the danger she was in, helpless beneath the man's grip. Makima's calm voice reached her ears. Ray, you truly are more valuable than you think. I just want to go home. Ray shouted, frustration and fear mixing in her chest. Aizen's smirk widened. No one's coming to save you. You'll come with us, and your companion will follow. Ray's vision blurred as she felt herself losing control of the situation. Ray, my dear, Makima said, her voice eerily serene. Trust me. Everything will make sense soon. And then, everything went black. Chapter 15. Ray's POV. Where am I? I open my eyes, and a sharp pain shoots through my head. The room is dim, but the low light still irritates me. I groan as I realize I'm tied to the wall, restrained in a way that seems to nullify my powers. My clothes are gone, except for my underwear, and my hair and throat feel dry. My stomach growls. I sigh in defeat. The basement is filled with old furniture and a small bar. To my right, I spot a radio and an ashtray on a round table. The room is neither filthy nor perfectly tidy. My back aches from the position I'm in. The last thing I remember is being ambushed alongside Makima. Where is she? Is she okay? She said something before I blacked out. I try to call out. Hello? Is anybody there? Only rats and insects respond. No human scent, no voices. Oh, if someone helps me out of this, I promise I'll behave. I won't be reckless again. I quickly clamp my mouth shut when I hear the sound of a lock clicking open. That voice. I think. I know that voice. Oh, give her some time. She's had a rough day, a familiar feminine voice says. Makima. My heart skips a beat. Why is she here? Why now? I better receive that 50 million yen for all this trouble, the man grumbles. You'll receive more than that, darling. Including for your acting, Makima responds, calmly. I hear a chair creak as she sits. The man laughs loudly. Right. I deserve an award for that performance. Makima chuckles softly. Silence falls, until a phone rings. Oh, it's the boss. I need to take this. You watch her, the man says before leaving. Just her and me. Makima steps closer, her hair loose and casual, dressed simply. She looks stunning. Her cold fingertips brush my face. Hello, she says with that small, enigmatic smile. Hi. I respond, trying to keep my tone sharp. How are you feeling? She asks, her gaze unwavering. I groan. Fantastic. My entire body aches, my head is pounding, and I have no idea what's going on. She sighs, licking her lips. I know you're confused. No, not at all. I interrupt sarcastically. Ray, she says firmly. I shut my mouth instantly. Darling, didn't I tell you to trust me? That it will all make sense. I nod, reluctantly. I can't explain everything right now. If anyone hears this conversation, the plan is over. What plan? I snap. You use me as a pawn and don't tell me anything. Sure, she says softly. I'll share the main target of the plan, nothing more for now. Fine. I'm listening, I say cautiously. Are you not tired of humans? She asks, her voice serious. Ha! Do you not wish you could do as you please without devil hunters interfering? I guess, sometimes it would be nice to travel or have freedom, I admit. Precisely. Devils from around the world have gathered their strongest warriors for this plan, she explains, her voice gaining intensity. USA, Iceland, Germany. We are tired of being humanity's puppets. She continues. I am exhausted from being Makima, the superior of the Devil Hunting Association. I want to be recognized as the control devil again. I try to hide my shock. And how exactly are we supposed to pull that off? Humans outnumber us by billions. That's where you, me, and Denji come in, she says. The three of us possess powers that most devils can only dream of. Your abilities, my powers, Denji's chainsaw, together, we can accomplish this. I hesitate. I don't know if I can do this. My eyes drop to the floor, shame and fear evident. Makima lifts my chin, forcing me to meet her golden eyes. Darling, you have no choice. You either go through with this plan, or face execution. I laugh dryly. Go ahead. You'd be doing me a favor. Oh. Would it also be a favor if Aki and Power were executed as well? My heart sinks. You wouldn't. He cares about you, I mutter. Makima's gaze hardens. Love is for the weak, darling. Her words hang in the air, cold and unyielding. Chapter 16. I said eat. No. Eat it before I make you. Okay, chill. I devoured the curry in seconds. I was starving. 10 days since my last proper meal, and 10 days since I had seen Makima. Can I use the bathroom? I asked politely, waiting for permission. Yes, I was asking to use the bathroom under guard. How had I ended up here? You just went, the guard said, arms crossed, expressionless. I sighed dramatically. Joseph, buddy. I really need to go. He considered for a moment, running a large tattooed hand through his beard. Fine. I'll take you. A smile spread across my face as I followed him. My face felt grimy and dry. I hadn't done my skincare in over a week. It had been 10 days since my abduction. I was growing numb. Makima was nowhere to be seen, and I was surrounded by people I couldn't trust. You've got 3 minutes, Joseph grumbled, holding up 3 fingers. 3 minutes to get myself together. I walked into the surprisingly clean bathroom, sat down, and took a moment to think. How was my squad? Were they worried about me? Of course they were. I missed them. Especially Aki. Over time, I had realized that most of his teasing was playful. 1. Joseph's deep voice called from outside, reminding me how little time I had. I washed my hands, and suddenly the fear and frustration I had been holding in came pouring out. Tears slid down my cheeks as I whispered, "Why me? Why my mom? I don't want to die." When I dried my face, the bathroom was quiet. Joseph hadn't checked in. Slowly, I opened the door, and froze. Joseph's body lay in the hallway, horrifically injured. My heart dropped. Third POV. Ray stood, trembling, awe and fear mixing in her expression. "Hello. Who's there?" she called shakily. Silence. "Listen, I'm on your side. I'm a half-devil. Let's team up, okay?" Silence. Suddenly, a familiar roar filled the space. A figure appeared, chainsaw in hand. "Denji!" I whispered, eyes wide. He scanned the room, then lifted me effortlessly over his shoulder. Questions ran through my mind. How did he find me? Where was he hiding? "I'm glad you're here, but what's going on?" I asked. "Would you just be quiet?" he growled. "Charming, as always." He spun around, searching frantically. "Where's this horned devil?" I groaned. "You two never change." Third POV. Ray's confusion deepened. Power appeared beside Denji, and they bickered as usual. "I got hungry." "You wouldn't know, you ate all the burgers." Denji complained. "Well, I was starving." Power snapped back, waving her arms dramatically. "Guys," Ray finally spoke, voice calm despite the chaos. "As much as I enjoy your argument, can someone tell me what's happening?" Denji scratched the back of his head. "There's this really strong guy. He said you were taken, so we came to get you." Ray raised an eyebrow. "What's his name?" Denji blinked. Blonde hair, ear piercings, a captain, I think." Ray sighed, burying her face in her hands. She was mentally exhausted. "Do you guys even know what's going on?" she asked. Power shrugged. "Not really." Denji's serious gaze met hers. "Miss Makima isn't who we thought she was, right?" Ray nodded bitterly. "She fooled us all. And I actually kind of trusted her." She whispered the last part as she wrapped her arms around Denji. He returned the hug instinctively, and soon Power joined in. A group hug, in the middle of an abandoned, dangerous place, surrounded by threats, felt strangely comforting. Ray finally let go and looked each of them in the eye, determination hardening her expression. "All right," she said firmly. "We stop Makima. No more running. No more tricks. We take control." Chapter 17. Third POV. The plan begins. "So, when is this guy going to show up?" Ray asked, trying to mask her boredom as she munched on a tuna rice ball. They were parked at a gas station, waiting for the meeting arranged by whoever had sent the devil duo. A pickup truck was provided for them to reach the designated spot. "Soon," Denji replied, his voice unusually serious. Ray watched him with concern. He seemed different today, more focused. She gently placed her hand on his shoulder. "I know this is all messed up, but we're in this together, okay? Everything will be fine," she said. His eyes softened at her words. "I hope so. I don't want Makima to get us before we even get a chance to do normal things," she added with a nervous chuckle. Losing Denji and Power would be devastating. They had all formed a strong bond. "Speaking of Power, where's P?" Ray asked. Denji rolled his eyes, pointing toward the back of the pickup truck. Slowly, pink locks came into view as Power slept peacefully, her face calm and relaxed. "Ah, she's cute when she's not trying to eat everything in sight," Ray whispered, smiling at the rare sight. "Wait, I think that's them." Denji suddenly called out. Two black cars with tinted windows pulled into the station. Several men in black suits stepped out. From the first car, a tall, blond man appeared, older and imposing. He gave a sharp glance at one of his guards, prompting him to light a cigarette. From the second car, a young, handsome man with dark hair emerged. He was accompanied by only two guards. A beauty mark on his face made him striking and unique. Both groups approached the devils cautiously. Rei felt intimidated by the older man, and Denji noticed, nudging her gently to reassure her. "Relax, you look like you're about to faint," he teased. "Can you blame me? Look at him," she whispered back. "Ehem," a deep voice interrupted. Rei turned her head and saw the older man, taking a long drag from his cigarette and exhaling smoke directly in her direction. She muttered sarcastically, "Thanks. Don't mind him. He's just trying to intimidate you," the younger man said with a smile, stepping forward and offering his hand. "You must be Rei, the half-devil. I'm Yoshida, and this is Captain Kishibe," he introduced calmly. Rei shook Yoshida's hand slowly, then hesitated slightly before nodding at Kishibe, who responded with a curt nod. "Well, aren't we being formal?" Denji snickered. "Oh, please," Rei said, rolling her eyes playfully. "We need to discuss some important matters," Captain Kishibe said, his tone serious. Rei furrowed her brows and nodded. "First, let me wake up our other teammate," she said, heading to the back of the truck. Waking Power was no easy task. "Come on, P, wake up," Rei coaxed. Slowly, Power's eyes fluttered open, cheeks flushed from sleep. She looked stunning, even in her messy hair and pale skin. "What?" Power snapped, breaking Rei's brief moment of admiration. "The captain is here. We need to discuss our plans," Rei explained. The group of 5 gathered inside a small cafe near the gas station. Their guards remained outside, watching for any threats. "I take it we all know about Makima and her plans," Captain Kishibe began, sipping his coffee. Everyone nodded. "How long have you known?" he asked Power, who sighed deeply. "Since my birthday," she admitted. The guilt on her face was clear, and Denji's disappointment showed immediately. "Since then. And you didn't tell us." Denji's voice was firm, but Yoshida chuckled, trying to diffuse the tension. "We all have moments we regret," Yoshida said. "Besides, she couldn't have stopped Makima alone anyway." "That is the harsh truth," Kishibe added. Power huffed, crossing her arms, growing restless. "Why waste time talking? Let's just go beat her up." Power exclaimed. "As tempting as that sounds, we need to be coordinated," Kishibe said calmly. "I have a plan, but it will only work if everyone cooperates." Rei raised her eyebrows, listening carefully. "Depression Devil, you will play the most crucial part in this plan," he continued. Rei's eyes widened. "Me?" she asked, pointing to herself. Kishibe simply nodded. "Makima has taken a special interest in you," he said carefully. "Using you as bait will be the smartest move. She's intelligent, and she'll be cautious." Rei frowned. "If she knows, what's the point? While you execute your part, we'll use the ignorance of a fellow devil hunter to our advantage," he explained. Power coughed at the smoke he exhaled, but Rei's attention stayed on the plan. "Fellow devil hunter?" she asked. "Your squad leader, Aki Hayakawa," Yoshida explained. At his name, the group tensed. Aki was Makima's most trusted officer, always protective and loyal. "He is unaware of the current situation," Yoshida continued. "He believes you 3 are undergoing a special training program to correct misbehavior." Rei groaned inwardly. She had wished she could still see Makima as the perfect protector. On the day of the operation, Rei will distract Makima. Knowing we're up to something, her guard will be up at all times. "You'll have to prove your loyalty to her, whatever she demands," Kishibe added. Rei's eyes widened. "What if she asks me to do something extreme?" "You handle it," he replied calmly. "Your loyalty will maintain the ruse. Hayakawa will play the decisive role." "How?" Rei and Denji asked simultaneously. "May I?" Kishibe nodded. "Hayakawa will be responsible for stopping Makima." Rei's heart raced. Everything was set. The plan was risky, but it was the only way.